Your most recent ad says Wisconsin has lost over 64,000 jobs because of unfair trade agreements. Other studies have claimed a connection between job growth and global trade and trade agreements, though also noting some displacement in industries and growth in others. What precisely has been unfair about NAFTA and other pending agreements? And your views, please, also on what the U.S. response to China's currency manipulation should be.
Well, first of all, we took the most conservative numbers that we could because we know how people want to be very careful about this. It's a difficult science to know exactly what it is, but here's what it's based on. It's based on the federal government's certification that a given plant should be given TAA assistance for their employees, training assistance, because they certified that the jobs are lost because of the trade agreement. Okay? It's that rock solid. I have a study right here in front of me that suggests it's 150,000, depending on other, but I'm taking it based on the government only certifies it in that case.
Is this for NAFTA or all trade?
This was NAFTA. The figure that I'm using has to do with, I think, a couple of trade agreements, actually. Yeah. Let me get back to you. But it is the TAA figure I think is significantly related to NAFTA, but not exclusively. I think some of it came from the WTO and GATT. What is it about the trade agreements that are a problem? They're not balanced. And they're not balanced in a way that is so tilted toward either the corporations that have a vested interest in moving the jobs overseas because they want cheaper labor, or it's beneficial to the governments in those countries that are negotiating the deal. So in a way, the way I look at it as a Wisconsin native from a hard-working, working-class town in Wisconsin is basically the people that were against the jobs from Wisconsin in my hometown of Janesville were on both sides of the table. You had a government on one side that wanted this deal, and you had a company over here that wanted the same thing. There was nobody at the table for the workers. A specific example, Ricardo, CAFTA, Central American Free Trade Agreement. The New York Times was touting this as a great thing, and it said it's good because it has language in there about enforcing workers' rights in their country. Why do we care about workers' rights in their country? Because if big companies think they can move jobs over there, pay low wages, don't protect the environment, they don't have to worry about workers' rights, they're going to move those jobs. So it's critical. But there was a flaw in their argument, and that is there was no enforcement mechanism. It was just language. No way for anyone to say, hey, these workers' rights are being abused here, and therefore this trade agreement. So it was just paper. And so, of course, with the China deal, I led the fight with Jesse Helms, and as I like to kid, there were not a lot of Helms Feingold bills. But I led the fight against that thing because it was clearly in the interest of so many large manufacturers in the state. Frankly, a guy like my opponent, being a strong supporter of this kind of thing. So the corporations have this huge interest in moving those jobs to China. And what you've got over there is this managed economy, controlled economy, where we're not able to fairly compete because of the way they dominate their own economy. And I don't think that's a good thing, but of course it gives them some flexibility. And that's why, in answer to the last part of your very big question, I would say, of course, that we need to be tough on the monetary piece in terms
Tough how?
Well, I think we have to be asked for more stability and more absolutely require that in return for our flexibility and our willingness to do this, that they're going to have to stabilize that currency.
Well, the House just voted or passed a bill that would allow for some tariffs, I think. Mm-hmm. Do you favor that?
I would vote for a bill like that, given the fact that China refuses to cooperate on this. I would do not put it as a first choice. If they had not done this in the past and been so abusive about it, it would be one thing. But I just testified in front of the International Joint Commission about dumping of paper products from China and Indonesia that's destroying our paper industry here in Wisconsin. We've lost a bunch of jobs because they are not only manipulating currency, but also engaging in dumping. So I think we have to take some steps, if we can't get favorable rulings on this from international authorities, to require some action. But I want to modulate it. I want to be careful about it. But what we've tried to do in the past has not yet worked. I think we're going to have to take it up a notch.
And if that sparks a trade war, who does that favor?
Well, if it's a trade war, that's bad. If it's what I just said, which is to take some steps and modulate it and figure out what's working and what isn't working. They clearly have major interest now in trade with this country. They do not find that nothing. In fact, they own a lot of our debt, so they're concerned about our situation because of their own notes. And so, I think this is the kind of thing you have to calibrate. But of course, I do not want a trade war.